and welcome into another edition of the PHNX D-Backs podcast. I'm all choked up here. We are brought to you live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K.
Why are you choked up, Derek?
I'm choked up because I don't know if this Diamondbacks team is ever going to lose a baseball game again.
And that chokes you up?
That chokes me up a little bit.
Because you get too excited.
Yeah, I get too excited.
It's not the playoffs yet, Derek.
You know, I can't wait for you to leave. I really can't. I really can't.
Well, did my job.
Yeah, well, welcome into another edition of the PHNX D-Backs podcast, presented by our friends at Bet365. Of course, check out Bet365. Sign up right now. Use our code of PHNX365 when you do. Choose your offer and find out why it is never ordinary at Bet365. And of course, this is another game where it is not an ordinary baseball game. Arizona Diamondbacks sweep the Colorado Rockies.
We've not used that word. I was just say we've not used that word all that much.
4 times.
Well, I'm not even saying like the curse. Like they just don't sweep teams.
They really don't, and they still have
until recently.
They still have a 69-53 record. Nice. Diamondbacks win today by a score of 11-4, and they just continue to roll. It's their 6th win of the season. It's their 4th sweep of their season. They have completed their 3rd sweep in their last 5 series.
I'm pretty sure if you were to date back, the last series that they lost would be May.
Yeah.
Something tells me that's pretty good baseball.
Yeah, that's pretty good baseball. King Snakemeister says, I have a bad attitude about Alec not hitting whatsoever. Well, we're going to talk about Alec Thomas here shortly because he was part of a roster move today where he was actually optioned to Reno. I'm not sure if everybody had been aware of that information, but of course, that's only because right now the Diamondbacks have too many guys playing well, and they kind of have to make some tough decisions here. And those tough decisions aren't just on the hitting side or on defense. It's also in pitching. But right now, this team is rolling. The first inning was absolutely bonkers. We were all at this man's going away party today at lunch, or going away lunch. He's not really going away, but he's kind of going away.
And I don't know if I've heard that place louder.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome because holy crap, man. You have a Carroll walk and a McCarthy single to lead off the game, and then Jock brings everybody home with what they claim is a 2 RBI double, Jacob.
I would say double's probably correct. It was down the line. He's probably going to leg out a double there no matter what.
But you had a throwing error by the Rockies.
Well, I actually watched it and I was like, oh, sick, there's a couple runs. And then I looked up and somehow the ball was on the left field warning track. And I was like,
and Jock is getting ready to round third base. And here he comes home.
I had no idea how the ball ended up out there.
Yeah, because the Rockies are a little league team. That's why. And Jock gets a little league home run. The Diamondbacks just jumped all over them early. Josh Bell reached then in the same inning on a catcher's interference. Lourdes singles. Gino gets hit by a pitch to load the bases.
How many guys got hit by pitches today?
A lot. Way too many, in fact. Way too many. Perdomo then walked in a run, which made it a 4-0 game. And then that's the Rockies got out of that. But there was another throwing error in the 3rd inning that allowed Josh Bell to score on a Gurriel single. So today was one of those days. Rockies ended up with 3 throwing errors, and it cost them quite a bit. But nothing cost the team more than Gino's performance today. And when I say cost the team, I mean cost the Rockies, because Gino was outstanding today. The man couldn't be stopped. As I said, he got hit by a pitch in his first at bat. He has a leadoff double in the 3rd, an RBI double in the 5th that scores ADC, and then a grand slam home run in the 5th.
Gino's really good at baseball all of a sudden.
All of a sudden.
And I know I say all of a sudden, but he's been really good for a month and a half at this point. But I just don't know what else you can say about this team other than they have every single guy contributing at a very high level every day. Yeah. And it's very rare that you see runs like that in baseball. Usually you'll have 2 or 3 guys get hot at the same time. They carry the team for a stretch of time. And then it's like, oh, they go cold, but then somebody else picks them up. This whole team is hot right now. And they have been for about a month, which is really, really, really special to watch because it just does not matter who they're going to go play. They have to, before the season's over, they have to play the Dodgers and they have to play the Padres. The two teams that they are in contention with here in the NL West and in the wild card spots, if we're talking truthfully. 2 years ago, if you would have asked me, oh, yeah, by the way, you're going to end your season, you're going to go play the Dodgers and the Padres, I'd have been like, oh, I just wanted some wins. in August. And now it's like, no, like I truly think that they can go toe-to-toe with Ohtani, with Freeman, with Betts, with like it, whatever. Doesn't matter who it is.
And a big part of that was depth, right? The depth that they established during this past offseason that brought in guys like Jock Peterson, who had that big RBI double / Little League home run. You got Randall Grichuk, who just celebrated his 10 years of service yesterday and his birthday in Major League Baseball, who's also contributed. And you have the addition of Josh Bell that just doesn't even make any sense that this man is playing as good as he is, but it's been an incredible addition to this team. Blaze Alexander was called up today to give them a little bit more depth at infield. That was the corresponding move with Alec Thomas being optioned to Reno. And this team right now, Scott Max said it in the chat just a little while ago, if you wouldn't mind scrolling up there, my guy Kyle. He says, bench is so deep, I hardly notice Walker, Moreno, and Marte are recovering. And that's the thing.
They've got 4 guys that would truly be in the starting lineup that are not right now.
Absolutely. And like, especially like Jesse said yesterday, like why rush Marte back when the team is playing this well? If you have a panic mode, like you might lose a game or two here and there. That's fine. That's going to happen even with Marte.
They're going to lose baseball games before the season is over. Right. Like I know that I said, are they ever going to lose? But
it doesn't feel like they are ever going to lose.
They will lose baseball games before the season is over. And we'll do the thing that we always do and we'll react to it. Yeah. It'll hurt. But this team is in a different spot now than I think I've ever seen them in my life.
Yeah. Yeah,
like, I mean, they just don't get phased.
They're able to overcome the adversity as far as all of these ups and downs that they've had to face when it comes to, you know, the losses due to injury. And early on, they didn't do a good job of responding to it. Now, I feel like they're numb to it. You know, they're kind of calloused when it comes to injuries. And sometimes that can be a mental thing because it's a letdown to have your best player like Ketel Marte out of the lineup. But instead, Gino turns into a superhuman. Jake McCarthy is playing baseball like the best player on the planet.
By the way, Corbin Carroll has an OPS over 950 for the last month.
He said it. There it is. Corbin's back. We officially can say it. Corbin's back. We've said it.
He's hitting 220, Derek.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's all right. But Gino... Gino and Corbin both dug themselves into such a hole early on that I don't really care what. I
don't look at their final numbers. I look at what are you doing for me now?
What have you done since June 1st?
His OPS is almost over 700. That's league average.
Right. Oh yeah, he's getting there, and a lot of that has been lately. But Gino, again, he hit his 4th career grand slam in the 6th inning. His first grand slam since 2018. He was 3 for 4 today. 5 ribbies. Go off, Gino. I love it. It's amazing to have Gino performing the way he is. But another guy that it is very, very important to the success of this team is Jordan Montgomery. And Jordan Montgomery had one of his best outings of the season, right? I mean, again, his curveball was working as his primary pitch today. He got so many swing and misses today, 22 whiffs, 8 of them on the curve. He just threw a nice mix of all of his pitches, 5 on the sinker, 5 on the fastball. The changeup was working for him. Again, he's not a guy that's going to go out there and blow you away with the fastball. It's the curve. It's that off-speed stuff that really works for him. And, I mean, he just went out there and pretty much cruised until the 6th inning where things kind of got shaky for him. He gives up a pair of singles and double and 2 runs, but he still managed to finish the inning and get through and give the Diamondbacks a quality start. 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 3 earned, 3 walks, 8K, which is probably the most important thing. I'm sure Jesse will come back and say that here in a little bit when he joins us, but I feel like the strikeouts for Jordan Montgomery is like the big deal.
He needs whiffs. Eduardo Rodriguez is a little different. Eduardo Rodriguez isn't out there looking for whiffs.
He kind of pitches to contact.
He gets soft contact. Monty's different. When Monty's on his A game, he's striking guys out. So that was really good to see today. I'd love to see it against a team that isn't Colorado Rockies, though.
Yeah. Well, the bullpen did their thing. They continue to do their thing. They had 1 earned run allowed today when Ryan Thompson was out there on an error by the Diamondbacks, but 3 innings pitched. And this bullpen did not allow an earned run in this series. So, again, it's just incredible.
The bullpen's back, I guess.
I mean, like, again, there is – right? There's a time to adapt, right? They had to adapt. The guys that are new, it takes you a little bit to feel comfortable. And then you also you have that thing of like everything is going so well for this team right now. You don't want to be the one to screw it up. Merrill Kelly said that. Like Merrill Kelly, the guy who like everybody couldn't wait to get back into the starting rotation. Right. Yeah. The mainstay was still
You don't want to mess that up, brother. You're not going to. I'll tell you that much right about now.
Yeah, but I mean, I get that feeling, and sometimes that feeling can kind of creep up and cause some of the issues we've seen at times. There's a lot of pressure there to perform. And, you know, again, this bullpen is slowly returning to form, and there's a lot of weapons out there that are working for this team.
And we talked about this, I think, on a post game probably not all that long ago. I just struggled to find where there's a weakness on this team.
Well, I mean, you still have like some issues like defensively losing Christian Walker.
Sure.
We don't know when he comes back. But like,
yeah, but that's like, you know what I mean? Like, that's just like unfortunate injury luck. I'm talking like they can hit. They can slug.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, realistically, their weakness is in the outfield arms, but I think that's the way they geared their outfield is so that they could get to a ton of baseballs.
Yeah.
Like, they're not trying to throw guys out all the time because most of the time they're able to get to balls in the gap.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, there's not really a whole lot of, like, you need a guy to launch a ball from, and it happens. In the playoffs, like, it would be nice to have a center fielder who could hit the target, a home plate 95-mile-an-hour throw and, you know, nail a guy at home.
Yeah.
Like, I watched Adolis Garcia gunned down Christian Walker in the World Series last year. Like, is that nice? Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to have
but like,
that in my life.
If you're telling me that like my first world problem is that my outfielders don't have arms.
Well, and they've been getting better, right? We've gotten we've seen Corbin making some better throws, and overall it's been a very everybody seems to adapt on this team again. Like, that's a big part of it. The fact that they find a way to be effective, to get better as the season goes on. I mean, I think that's been the most impressive thing is that this series is a perfect example. 3 different outcomes. They won all 3 games, but all 3 games in different ways, right? Their offense was not working in the first 2 games. Things kind of bounced their way in game 1. I mean, they hung in there. And again, keeping the game close was a big part of the fact that they were able to hang in there and take that game late with basically some pitching mistakes by the Rockies. The ball bounced their way today, especially with that error for Jock Peterson there early on. It was just another one of those days that you're like, things are going this team's way. But this was a day where the offense showed out against a team that we thought, after coming off of a series where they scored 21 runs in the final 15 innings against the Phillies, they kind of come in.
I think it's a good baseball team too.
Yeah, right. I know. And so, but then they come into this series against the Rockies and they score 5 in first and 4 in the second. And again, that's still much better than they were doing offensively early on in the season when they really had their like super highs and then their super lows as far as offensive production goes. But I mean, this team just, like you said, they don't have any weaknesses right now. They're just not
hit, slug, pitch,
starting, relief.
Yeah,
pitching.
Defense doesn't matter. They'll do it all.
That's great.
Obviously, Alec Thomas heading to Reno gives you a little bit less defense in the outfield, but like I said, Jake can cover ground. He might not have the same glove that Alec had, but he's got the same wheels. He actually might be faster than Alec Thomas out there. So like he will still cover just as much ground.
Jake's just playing out of his mind, and there's absolutely no reason to
when you're the best player in baseball, there's no way somebody else is going to play over you.
And to be fair, Alec,
he kudos to him. He played himself into a position where he was impossible to take out the lineup.
And as much as we said that Jake wasn't getting playing time, Alec really didn't have that much time overall for him to get back to where he was at, and that's why the move to Reno might not be the worst thing for him.
Yeah.
Not only is he going to
get back,
he's going to get a chance to play every day and play play the full game. He's going to have as many opportunities down there as anybody could have. And it's Reno, right? Like, it just gives you confidence when you start smashing the ball 450 feet,
Jake did it. Like, look, I think some
Paven
people
did it too.
Paven did it. Some people in the chat mentioned this earlier. It's way up there. So, but it was like, Jake handled that last year. He's in the same spot that Alec is right now. Like, he just didn't have a spot on the roster because he was scuffling.
Yeah.
Like, he was just really struggling. And he handled those options with such, like, humility. And, like, he didn't hang his head. He didn't, I'm, your center fielder. Like, that's, I'm supposed to be that guy. He went down there. He took care of his business. Look where he is now.
Yeah.
Like, that's the type of ethic you need to have. So, like, I'm hoping that Alec can do some of the same.
Well, this team is at a point where the roster is so packed that you have to perform, or there is going to be some way to maybe shuffle you out in order to get somebody who's being more productive up here, right? Not to mention the fact that at times Torrey just needs that, that flexibility to bring in maybe hey, we need an extra reliever this week. We need an extra infielder while Cattell might miss some time. That's the reason why Blaze got called up. But we do have video from Torrey before today's game, and this is what Torrey had to say about sending Alec Thomas down to Reno.
We decided to send down Alec for a simple reason. The rhythm of his game, wasn't quite what we wanted to be. Wasn't getting consistent playing time. Jake has taken away some of his playing time, and that's how this is. It's based on merits. And when you're doing your job at the high level, such as the way Jake is, I have to make tough decisions when I'm constructing a lineup, and I was targeting Jake over Alec, and that is part of the game. It's been a part of the game forever, and to get Alec back in rhythm, get him an opportunity to get some consistent at bats, which is to me what he needs ultimately, to get him back here to help us impact games at the level that we expected. We just felt like this was the best move, and also getting an extra infielder in here with where Cattell is being day to day. I've been running the guys pretty thin out there as it has been, with just one extra infielder. We felt like the need to get Blaze here to give us a little bit of coverage and get a start, which he's getting today, was going to help us in the long run.
With time, you start to realize that sometimes these moves aren't necessarily a demotion, right? We even saw this.
It's about making sure that you're where you need to be.
Yeah, exactly. And again, we talked about Ginkel last year when he got sent down, and it was kind of inexplicable. He had a sub-3 ERA. It wasn't even like
he was the odd man out.
He was just the odd man out. And I mean, in this case, it is about Alec getting some more reps and going down there and just kind of trying to get his swing back on track. You like every other part of Alec Thomas's game, especially how clutch he is late.
He has a world of talent.
He really does.
Defensively a wizard, and he's shown that he can hit at the highest level. He's shown that not for extended stretches, but I'm saying in Reno, he hits 350. He can hit the baseball. And I know Reno inflates numbers, but Reno inflates power numbers. To hit 350, you still have to get your bat on the baseball.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's like Adrian Del Castillo, right? We were skeptical of his numbers translating over to Major League Baseball, and so far, it's worked out pretty well. He's worked out pretty well, right? But they did call up Blaze, who kind of struggled at the plate today. I think Lease, of course, known baseball GM, she never misses anything, said that Blaze had the worst at bats today. But here's more from Blaze on getting called up today.
Yeah, no, I'd say early, as soon as I got optioned down there, it's just, it wasn't easy, mentally and stuff, but, I kind of found my why again, and, just went back to work. I got with the hitting coach down there and kind of came up with a plan, and things started to click, and just confidence is going up every day, and yeah, feel ready to ride.
What's it been like watching this team from afar?
It's been unreal. Jealousy a little bit. I mean, obviously you want to be here while they're winning and stuff, but no, couldn't be happier. And I think at the beginning of the year, we knew we were this kind of team, and they've put it all together, and I'm just hopping in a spot and going to do my job. So
I don't care if he has.
What an outstanding human being!
I don't care if he has 5 bad at bats. I want his energy around me at all times. Those are the vibes that I'm seeking for my baseball team. He really is. He really is, and he's authentically that person, right? And I mean, again, there's this, there is something hilarious that he said there. And I mean, yeah, imagine being part of this team and the struggles early on like he did. And honestly, he had his struggles, but he also had his big moments as well.
Yeah.
He really had his coming out party this season.
He did.
For this team. So,
yeah, he's a piece of the future for this team.
For sure.
He has a spot on this baseball team. It might not be. He's up here right now, so it could be right now. I fully expect him to make an impact going forward into this playoff run.
Yeah.
He has a role to play.
Yeah.
And I do truly believe that Blaze Alexander in the not so distant future is a starting everyday player on this team.
Nicholas, I said the same thing while I was watching it. He's golden retriever in human form. He's our puppy dog. Chris Melton says he's a Care Bear, and I love to see Chris in the chat. Welcome in. And of course, we love to see all of you guys here. We will have more from Jesse Friedman here joining us from Chase Field shortly. But of course, we thank you guys for being here in the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. Make sure if you haven't done so yet, you subscribe to the channel, sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss whenever our shows go live. And of course, hit that like button. And it's for him this time. It's his last show ever. He's going to disappear.
You can clip this I can become a like button.
He's going to, do that. I'll get his way. He'll fade away into dust after the show ends. But of course, make sure to do it for his personal self-esteem before he goes. If you're listening on the audio podcasting side, make sure you subscribe over there on your favorite audio podcasting app and leave us a review. Those 5-star reviews definitely mean the world to us. Also, check out Bet365. They make sports more fun. Of course, they pioneered live in-game betting, and they offer the widest range of games and markets available for live in-game betting across 78 sports. Right now, you can get the baseball early payout offer, where if you bet on a team and your team goes up by 5 runs, you get an early payout. And of course, that also counts for same game parlay and parlay selections that will be marked as winners. Of course, new customers can sign up and choose between 2 offers when they open an account at Bet365. Use our code of PHNX365 when you sign up. Deposit $10 and choose either between a bet and get offer where you can place a bet of $5 or more and get $150 in bonus bets, or a first bet safety net offer where you can place up to a $1,000 bet. And if your qualifying bet loses, you will receive up to that amount in bonus bets. Download the Bet365 app and use code PHNX365 when you sign up. Choose your offer and find out why it is never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or over and physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT STEP to 53342, or visit problemgambling.az.gov. Are you doing celebrating tonight? Are you celebrating?
Leaving here? I'm cleaning my pool, if that counts as celebrating.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't.
It's about all.
Well, if you're celebrating, of course.
Being an adult.
Oh, well, like sometimes, yeah. So especially celebrating and drinking, it's an adult.
It's weird that it's on a Wednesday. If it was on a Friday, my answer might be different.
It might be different, but when you know you're going to have a fun night ahead, like this guy is going to have a fun night ahead cleaning his pool, pregame with Z-Biotics pre-alcohol. Pre-alcohol is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Let's face it, we do not recover the way that we used to. That's kind of the way it is.
Just call me old.
You're washed, is what I'm saying. Those days.
I'm only 27, Derek.
Well, you don't act like it. You have the soul of a 53-year-old man, is what you have. But you can either have a great night or a great morning, but you can't have both sometimes. But you can with Z-Biotics. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct. That's what they tell me, at least. I'm not smart enough to figure that out on my own, but it's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough day the next day. So pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. And of course, all you have to do is remember to make Z-Biotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly and you'll feel so much better the next day. It's a surefire way to wake up feeling fresh after a night of drinking with Z-Biotics pre-alcohol. Go to zbiotics.com/PHNXBacks to get 15% off your first order when you use PHNXBacks at checkout. Pre-alcohol is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/PHNXBacks and use the code PHNXBacks to check out for 15% off. And yeah, do it. Even like this guy, you never know.
I definitely am rough in the mornings.
Yeah, that's for sure. I've been around him.
Sean,
we slept together in the same bed in Chicago.
Yes, Jesse is actually younger than I am too, which is pretty crazy to think about.
Yeah, I was on a trip with 2 of the oldest young men I've ever been around in my
Derek
entire
was
life.
like the kid, and Jesse and I were just like,
like when they say skinny fat, these were like old young or whatever, young old. I don't know, but let's take a look at the count for this series presented by Desert Financial Credit Union, because this one's of course, kind of interesting. Diamondbacks outscored the Rockies in the series 20-11. They basically would have tied them with just the runs they scored in today's game. Of course, they barely out-hit them because baseball. 26 hits for the Diamondbacks in the series to 23 for the Rockies. Runners in scoring position, the Diamondbacks were 6 for 30. The Rockies were 7 for 22. Better average there, 318 for the Rockies, 200 for the Diamondbacks. Starting pitching ERA, basically a push for both sides, 5 for Diamondbacks, 5.84 for the Rockies. But like we said earlier, that relief pitching ERA was the big difference in this one. The Diamondbacks post a 0.00 ERA to the Rockies, 7.81.
Something tells me a 0 ERA is good.
Yeah.
Probably pretty solid.
It's pretty good.
You know what I call that, Derek?
Jesse would say it plays.
Not only is it the count, it's a recipe for success.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, when you're bullpen,
outscore the other opponent, out-hit them, out-pitch them.
Yeah, that's kind of how it works. You score more runs and you'll win the ball game.
Yeah, it's a recipe for success.
It's absolutely a recipe for success. Well, another recipe for success is having Jake McCarthy on your baseball team, because he is very, very good at the game of baseball.
I don't know when he became Ken Griffey Jr., but I'll take it.
I don't even know if we should talk about that like that, because I feel like it's putting bad stuff out there in the universe. But Jake McCarthy, you're probably right. It did become Ken Griffey Jr. overnight. Let's take a look. He is our king snake for this series. Jake McCarthy, 6 for 12 for a 500 batting average, had 4 RBI, 1 walk, his first career walk-off hit, and a wonderful head of hair.
He's got lettuce that only I could hope to attain one day.
Well,
if only my hairpiece could get me there.
I was going to say, yours is a hairpiece, so couldn't you just replace it with something?
Maybe I could go find something like that in my local wig shop.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as Charles Woodall Pike said, ladies and gentlemen, the bullpen, but in the best possible way, and that's it. You guys did pick on him about his hair, and he probably deserved it, but I've had an entirely too.
When did I deserve it?
I don't know. You just deserve it, but I've had a great time. Like I said earlier today, PHNX would not be what we are without this man, right? There is a certain level of excellence that Jacob demanded out of all of us, but besides just demanding it like the absolute boss that he is, he believed in all of us that we could achieve this level of excellence. And honestly, the product, I hope you guys enjoy what we do here. And if you do, the reason why is because of this man. So I have some gifts for you before you go. The first one is in this little bag right here. Of course, I could not let you leave without a bag of our pretzels from our Southwest flight. Now, we talked about this. This is not just
Southwest pretzels.
No, these are
no
just...
No free ads, Max, but this is a free ad.
No, we're actually, like, that's another part of this present is we're going to sit here right now and just do a free ad because I know how much you hate Max.
Are we going to ASMR this?
Yeah, we can ASMR. I mean, we could just literally do an ad. Like, let's just go, like, Stellar Pretzel Brands Maui Monk Pretzels. They're the best. You monster. What
kind of monster throws somebody's gift on the ground?
What a monster. Anyway, give those back. We'll go ahead and finish the ad read. These pretzels are the best pretzels you can buy.
Maui Monk Pretzels. Southwest.
Yeah. They sell themselves, basically. Southwest gives you a little tiny amount. Yeah, this is the best pretzels in the game if you're looking for good pretzels. I have one more gift, and it's very interesting because as we sat here, you brought up to me that you could now upgrade your Twitter handle to Jacob_Franklin2. Is that right?
I could become Jacob_Franklin2.
And if you've been watching the show, you know that every time he appears on the show for 3 years, I've said he is the 4th best Jacob Franklin in existence because his Twitter handle was Jacob_Franklin4. Well, I got you another present.
Oh, no.
If you wouldn't mind, Kyle, I got you Jacob_Franklin1. That's right, Jacob_Franklin1. It doesn't exist because I own it. That's why. And I'm giving it to you because as you can see there, you are the world's greatest Jacob Franklin. So there's my last gift to you.
What an amazing gift.
I've upgraded you
to what an amazing gift.
Jacob Franklin #1 overall on Twitter.
So what, you're going to sign out? Like, how do I do this?
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll get Elon involved. I'm sure he'll help us. I mean, he got that whole Twitter
now
Spaces
you own
thing
that.
figured out. I own that.
I feel like you could have just photoshopped it and said it's available. Go take it.
No. I couldn't do that. I had to own it, and then I had to follow everybody from PHNX and ALLCITY. That's what I had to do. But again, we thank you very much for everything you've done for us, and of course for being just such a baseball fan. It was so easy to do this show with you because you love baseball as much as the rest of us do. So you're not going away entirely. You're not fading.
No,
away
I'm not
into the
dying.
Dust. No.
I might force my way onto a post game.
All right.
Well, for playoffs.
For a little playoff, a little Yoffs action.
If they make the World Series, Derek, you bet your ass I'm watching that here.
Let's go. Well, we'll have him back. But of course, again, we thank you so much for your time, and we wish you the best on your future endeavors.
Appreciate you.
Wherever you go.
Thank you. Tell Jesse, let me just say something. You two, and every producer that you guys have gone through over the course of the last 3 years, because I know I have probably tossed around producers on your show more than other than maybe ASU. You guys have truly built one of the best communities that I've ever seen in the baseball world. What you guys do every day is special. It means a lot to these people. I think I told you this from the very beginning. I fully believed in baseball being successful as a model for this company.
Yeah.
And I wasn't ever going to give up. I was always going to hold you guys to the same standard that we held our basketball and football shows to, because I truly believed that something special could be created here, and this is just the beginning. But I think you guys are showing that.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Thank you, brother.
Sir.
All right. Well, of course, this man still be around, so make sure to follow him.
I will still be at AllCITY.
Jacob
I'm not
Franklin
leaving the company.
Yeah.
You can't know what I'm doing just yet.
Yeah, just yet. It's a surprise, but we have lots of surprises. I should tease that we have a huge surprise coming to the show, but I probably shouldn't because it's a little reckless. But we have a huge surprise coming to the show. Anyway, thank you again. Of course, if you aren't a diehard already, make sure to grab yourself that diehard membership. Go to gophnx.com. That would be one last gift to Jacob. Of course, you can get a wonderful variety of things over at the diehard membership. Of course, you get your free t-shirt of your choice from the phnxlocker.com, access to all of Jesse's written premium written content. You get access to our Discord lounge, which is the best place to be an Arizona sports fan, not to mention discounts on all of our events and so much more. The events thing, that one's an important one because, of course, we just had a blast over there doing our pool party at Chase Field, and that might be a little reason why the Diamondbacks are on the roll they're on. I don't know. I'm just saying, maybe they got their second sweep of the season when we were there. But, of course, we thank you guys so much for, again, being here. Jesse will be joining us here shortly. But if you want to get yourself some amazing snacks like I just gave to Jacob, make sure to stop by Circle K. You can get yourself a wonderful beverage. Of course, I'm contractually obligated to receive a Froster every single show, and that hasn't been happening. So I think I'm like backed up. I'm owed like 8 Frosters at this point. But of course, get yourself a Polar Pop or a Froster for just 79 cents now until September 3rd. You can also join the Inner Circle program for free by downloading the Inner Circle app, and you'll save yourself all sorts of money with that. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details. When you do, you'll save 25 cents off per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups, and then save 3 cents off per gallon every day after that. So, of course, it's a wonderful time to join the Inner Circle and be part of all of this. All right. Well, we also have, let's see, Jesse, Shady Rays, Jesse Friedman. I'm wagging my finger at Jesse, but you guys shouldn't see me doing that. Shady Rays, of course, is important because the future of the Arizona Diamondbacks is so bright. You need to plan accordingly with a good pair of shades, and of course, you can get them from Shady Rays. They are an independent sunglass company that offer a world-class product. Of course, rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. Right now, of course, you can get yourself a pair of Shady Rays online. And of course, if you don't absolutely love your Shady Rays, you can exchange them for free, or you can get your money back within 30 days. No pressure at all there. No risk at all when you shop. Their team has your back with personal and fast support. Also, Shady Rays has an insane replacement plan where if you break or lose your Shady Rays, even on day one, they will send you out a brand new pair. No questions asked. So, of course, make sure to check out all that Shady Rays has to offer. They have hundreds of styles to choose from. And exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code PHNX for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated by over 300,000 people. Well, of course, we have a little bit more here on this game before Jesse Friedman joins us for Chase Field. For some reason, he doesn't understand how time works or joining the show before, we have to wrap things up. But, of course, the Diamondbacks once again win this game by a lot. This one is an important one because the Diamondbacks haven't swept a lot of teams. Like we said, this is just their 4th sweep of the season, considering they're at a place right now where they are now 16 games above 500. It is fairly impressive that this team has been able to do that this season without sweeping very many of their opponents. We also talked about how, honestly, this stretch is pretty important, right? The Diamondbacks have a tough schedule coming up. They do face the Dodgers. Like we were talking about with Jacob, they wrap up the season against the San Diego Padres. There's a lot of tough opponents ahead towards the end of this month and in September. So stacking wins right now against this particular stretch is so extremely important. So I feel like that's why it's so good here, especially with the Diamondbacks having lost Ketel Marte, who is still day-to-day, and we don't know when he will return, as well as the other pieces that they've lost. Gabriel Moreno is still, looking like he will not rejoin this team until later in the season. And then you still have the return of Christian Walker, which, to be honest, really, like, it's great to get Christian Walker back, but Josh Bell has been playing so well that it doesn't really feel like that is as pressing of a matter here. But
we're a wagon.
That's Espo. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. I challenge you to argue him and find where he's not wrong. This team continues to be the hottest team in baseball, and it is a bit inexplicable at times. Like, today was one of those games where they just kind of beat the Rockies. But throughout this series, like we said, there were a few times, there were a few wins in this series. The other two wins that the ball just kind of bounced the Diamondbacks' way, and that's kind of how things have been going for this team as of late. This also marked the 24th all-time sweep against the Colorado Rockies for the Arizona Diamondbacks, which is the most series sweeps versus any opponent all time. And of course they did, because it's the Rockies. I don't mean to pile on, but I'm going to. But yeah, right now, of course, there were just a lot of contributions in this game from so many different players. And, like we said, Corbin Carroll is getting hotter. Jake McCarthy remains hot in this series. Of course, there's a good reason why he's our king snake. Eugenio Suarez could have easily been our king snake for today's game in any other circumstance, where he is 3 for 4 with 5 RBIs on that grand slam. But yeah, I mean, honestly, at this point, we're now to where this Diamondbacks team continues to have that different guys step up every night. Jake was good, but Jake definitely wasn't the one doing it for this team tonight. It was absolutely Gino who, I mean, just delivered an amazing performance. And like I said, that is Gino's first grand slam since 2018. So despite the fact that Gino showed off his power with the Mariners, it's been a while since he's hit a grand slammy. And I mean, overall, this just was, again, another impressive effort from this team. Jordan Montgomery was not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but he definitely it's all over the. Hey, it's not. It's you pulled it when you tripped on it. We're having some technical difficulties. It's fine, folks. We'll get it all straight. But again,
apologies.
Jordan, no problem. Jordan Montgomery, again, the curveball was excellent today for Jordan Montgomery, and it definitely was a big reason why he was able to establish himself against this Colorado Rockies team. And this Rockies team has been pretty good offensively, especially so far in this series. So even though things fell apart there for Jordan in the 6th inning, it still didn't get terrible. It still did not get terrible. And this team just found a way to really put it to the Rockies in the finale here. I will say, taking a look back out, Brady, I think it's Brady Duran, says, "Stop Padres, please." I don't know what is going on with the San Diego Padres and how they continue to be, I guess, the thorn in the side of the Diamondbacks. They're stealing our spotlight is really what's going on, because, of course, it has to be a team that not only are the Diamondbacks kind of racing there in the wild card race, but also a division rival. So it is the fact that we are continuing to see this team just kind of stay step by step with the Padres right now. They also won today. They're also 69-53. Both teams are 9-1 in their last 10 games. So right now, this the division from at least the wild card perspective is getting bigger between them and their other opponents that are also in that race. But who says it there in the chat? I don't care about the Padres. I don't either. You're right. Aside from the fact that, like, they're stealing some of the Diamondbacks' shine, which really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, right? Because the Diamondbacks are going to continue to play the baseball they're playing. So I'm with you on the I don't care about the Padres until we play them in the last series of the season, which could be fairly important, could have some big playoff implications by that point. But right now, again, we have the Diamondbacks currently have a 6.5 game lead on essentially the one team out of the wild card race right now on the New York Mets, who are 2 games back from the Atlanta Braves. The Diamondbacks are 4.5 games, as well as the Padres are 4.5 games up on the Braves. So, yeah, that's where the Diamondbacks sit. But we do have, of course, like I said, Jesse Friedman eventually joining us here from the clubhouse. I'm going to scream at him when he gets here. I'm going to tell you that right now. But we do have, of course, some more from the bullpen today. The bullpen just continues to stay pretty flawless for this team. And I really don't know how they continue to do it, but today was another impressive effort. And overall, they just have been so solid for the Diamondbacks over this stretch. And a big reason why they're winning, not just Jake McCarthy, but the fact that the bullpen has kept them in so many of these games. Kyle, what were your takeaways overall? I know you were also doing ASU, but to kind of after we watched yesterday's game that had so little action in it, it's kind of incredible to see the Diamondbacks come right out of the gate like they did in the first inning and put up those runs.
I would find it difficult to bet on the Diamondbacks.
Yeah,
like
you're right. You have no idea what they're going to be any given night, right?
Yeah, you don't know if they're going to go off for 10 runs or wait till the ninth inning to finally show up.
Yeah, right.
Any day, you don't know what they're going to turn out.
And we talked about that last night, where it just felt. I mean, they're to that point where you kind of feel so confident that they are going to come back, that they are going to find a way to win a baseball game, that when they were down by 1 run late yesterday, you believed that it was going to happen somehow, and they did it. Who also has a great question. He said, is Paul Sewald back? While Paul Sewald didn't pitch in this game, we talked a little bit yesterday about Paul Sewald, and he might, in fact, be back. It's going to be an interesting situation that develops here in regards to what the Diamondbacks do with closers, especially in games where things have, bigger implications. Of course, there's a good chance that Torrey could put anybody out in a game against the Rockies. We saw Joe Mantiply yesterday in the 9th inning, but Paul Sewald, again, we talked about this yesterday. In his last 5 outings, he's gone 5 innings pitched. He's allowed 2 hits, no earned runs, 3 walks, and 5 strikeouts. And he's just been a very, very good reliever for this team. You can say that Sewald accepted it, but at this point, Paul Sewald is pretty much pitching for his next, contract. And he has everything on the line in regards to making, a comeback and getting this, season back on track. So far, he's done that. I just don't know if before the end of the season, we see Paul Sewald return to that closer role, especially if Justin Martinez continues to basically do what he's been doing. I mean, we know that Justin Martinez has all of the skill in the world to be this team's future closer. But if he can kind of, get that mentality and have that confidence there late in games in those high leverage situations, Justin Martinez might stay in that role for not only the end of the season, but potentially beyond. The Diamondbacks may have just found their closer, and this might have been the start of his time in that role for the Diamondbacks. But this was just, again, B says, my confidence is still shaken in him is still shaken in regards to Paul Sewald. And yeah, that's understanding. That's understandable for sure. Maze Devil says, I have a feeling he will. I think that might mean in regards to Paul Sewald getting back to the closer. It feels like they're moving him closer to that, that point. And again, I wouldn't be surprised at all in regards to that happening. Someone said in the chat that the Phillies are losing. And of course, that makes me happy, especially considering how many of them sent me screenshots of what the Diamondbacks record was versus the Phillies record. And I believe if the Phillies lose tonight, the Diamondbacks and Phillies will be tied for at least the same amount of wins. So who got the last laugh there? I think it was me. I don't know. I'm petty, though. Of course, we did want to, once again, give a big shout out to Jacob Franklin now that he's gone. I tried to get sappy with him in here, but I do want to thank him, especially for how much he's done for PHNX Sports as a whole. Jacob has been here since the beginning. He's been our head of production. Because of Jacob, he is the reason why we've brought on so many great producers like Damon Dog, like our guy Kyle. It's the reason why producers here have succeeded in the way they have, the way that, of course, our beloved Emma Clark and our beloved Sean DePaz, who have also gone on to bigger and better things, came here and became so good at what they do. And of course, that man is a huge part of the reason why not only all of those producers have gone on to those things, but also, why, again, like I said earlier, we here at PHNX run the way we do. Of course, there's a level of excellence that Jacob has expected out of all of us. and he wouldn't be the Father Overlord Jacob if it wasn't for that reason, because he's so overbearing. He's so mean all the time. No, I'm joking, but I did have an absolute blast with him, and we got to definitely know each other more on the trip, which makes this a little more difficult for me because I realized truly how much Jacob loves baseball. And of course, we got to bond a little bit before he departs us here, but it was also a great opportunity to kind of share that time with him before he left. And of course, gotta keep it locked right here to ALLCITY, because we do have some amazing things in the works. And of course, Jacob is going to be a big part of all of that. So of course, we thank you guys so much. Do we have some super chats? I didn't know if I missed that. Oh, I'm sorry. That is a previous note. We're all over the place today, folks, but mostly because, we went and ate tacos and drank during the first inning of this game. At least one of us in this room did. We had ourselves a good time watching the Arizona Diamondbacks go out there and thump the Rockies. And again, I talked about this being a bit of a trap series. The Diamondbacks did a great job of handling it. Like I said, they found a way to win in those two games when their offense wasn't really working. Now they have a series coming up here with the Tampa Bay Rays, and then followed by a series with the Miami Marlins. Both of those teams, again, dangerous teams that have beat some good teams recently. So you can't take any team in baseball lightly. Like I said earlier, though, now is the time that the Diamondbacks have to stack wins. Some of these wins could be critical when the end of September comes around. And again, we don't know how things are going to stack up. Like, it feels good right now that the Diamondbacks have created that gap between them and some of their opponents in the wild card. It just still, baseball is the way it is, and any team can get hot. Especially, we've seen this New York Mets team get hot. We've seen this Padres team play just as good, if not maybe even better baseball at times than the Diamondbacks. They're a very scary team. And again, there's just a lot of time still left in the season until we get to the playoffs. So the Diamondbacks need to keep things locked in. Of course, we have more here from Chase Field, and the guy that I'm going to scream at for how late the players actually were is the one and only Thunderstick, Jesse Friedman. Jesse, what's happening? What the hell took you so long?
Yeah, well, it's a getaway day at the ballpark here, Derek. And that means the guys they're not just getting ready to get out of there and go home. They're getting ready to go on a plane ride for about 5 hours, probably. So things were a little chaotic post game. Appreciate everyone's patience, but this was another obviously just big win for the Diamondbacks. It felt a little bit effortless today in a way that it did not feel the past couple of days, right? I mean, yesterday's game looked like a game the D-backs very well might lose up until the final swing of the day with Jake McCarthy. And, even the day prior in Monday's game, the D-backs, if they don't get two wild pitches from Tyler Kinley in succession, I'm not sure if they win that game either. So to come away from this series, I mean, even though it was against the Rockies, it's a team that you feel like you should sweep with how well the Diamondbacks are playing right now. But yeah, to be able to finish the job today, obviously it's big. It's, 3 sweeps in their last 5 series. I think we can officially put to bed the narrative of the Diamondbacks not being able to complete the sweep. They have shown here in the last couple of weeks that they are in fact able to do that.
They've had a lot of those narratives throughout the season, like the Diamondbacks not being able to come back from an 0-2 deficit, the inability to sweep. There was the stretch where they couldn't win the first game of a series, right? Like, they just had these weird kind of stretches of things kind of not going their way. And now we have instead this weird stretch of kind of everything going their way. And like you said, in this series, they found a way to win in a different way in each game. But in game one, they don't walk away with the win without some wild pitches. Their offense wasn't really doing much up to that point, nor did it do much after that point.
Yeah. I mean, this day was by far the Diamondbacks' most productive day offensively. I mean, Austin Gomber was pretty good yesterday, right? 6 innings, 2 runs. And then Bradley Blaylock, coming straight up from Double-A, was pretty good in the game on Monday. D-backs were able to make some adjustments and get to him a little bit later on. But, he held them at bay throughout a good portion of that game. And yeah, today was definitely different. The Rockies not only was their pitching left a little bit to be desired, there were a lot of walks, there were a lot of hit by pitches in this game as well. There was also some sloppy defense. There was the catcher's interference that allowed Josh Bell to reach base early in this game. There was obviously the throwing error that led to the Jock Peterson Little League home run. There was another error, another throwing error later in the game as well. So yeah, this was the Rockies just sort of being the Rockies, Derek. Not to say the Diamondbacks didn't play well, but they definitely took advantage of a Rockies team that has one of the worst records in the league for a reason. And, they didn't really look like that team the last couple of days. The Rockies played some decent baseball, but they did look like that team today.
Well, today was all about Gino on the offensive side of things. The man couldn't be stopped. They had to hit him with pitches. They had to do everything they could to stop him. They hit a lot of Diamondbacks with pitches today, by the way. But Gino, 2 doubles, 5 RBI, the grand slam, first grand slam since 2018. It was an incredible day for Gino.
It really was. Yeah. I mean, it just feels like somebody else stepping up every day, right? I mean, I guess Jake McCarthy's been the narrative maybe for the last few days, but yeah, I mean, you think about over this last month, like Corbin Carroll hit, an insane walk-off home run against Kyle Finnegan. You can go through basically anyone in this lineup, right? Gino, the day that he had today, Jake, what he's been doing recently, Jock Peterson had a, hit go ahead home runs and on back-to-back days at one point. Cattell obviously has had a whole bunch of big hits. Pretty much everyone in this lineup has had a day where they kind of controlled the narrative and they came out and did some crazy things. And today it was Gino's day to do that. He hasn't been, homer in every other day lately like we saw in July, but he's quietly still been putting together pretty productive at bats. And today you saw that materialize into getting on base 4 times, 3 hits, as you said, all of them for extra bases, and really the blow of the game with that grand slam.
He has 35 RBI since July 7th, which is the most in the National League in that time frame. I mean, this was a guy that honestly, the DFA conversation got real and wasn't that out of the question with how he was playing at one point. And now Gino is literally the guy that you wish the Diamondbacks went out and traded for at the trade deadline.
Yeah, I mean, Gino has a 740 OPS at this point. Like, we talked about it before the season, what the expectations there should be. And we were looking at some of the projection systems and they had him lower than that. And we were looking at those numbers, thinking that they were maybe on the lower end. And then the season starts and, you look up in May and he's got an OPS that still starts with a 5. You're wondering, wow, those projection systems might have actually overestimated what he would be able to do by a wide margin. And in reality, what we've seen at this point is they've actually underestimated Gino, at least up to this point in the season. And yeah, although he hasn't, been just doing crazy damage all the time like he was in July, he really has just the at-bats just look so different to me than the hitter that we saw earlier in the season. He's not caught in between. He's waiting for his pitch and he's hitting pitches. He's getting to balls that it didn't feel like he was getting to early in the season. I mean, the pitch that he hit the grand slam on, like that was a slider, maybe caught a little bit more of the plate than Riley Pint would have wanted, but it was still a down and away slider. I mean, it's the kind of pitch that I'm not sure Gino is hitting into the seats a few months ago.
Yeah.
And the swing we saw today looks pretty familiar. We've seen Gino do that a number of times here in this last month and a half.
Well, and Riley Pint was missing on quite a few guys there as he hit Lourdes and who else did he hit? He hit 2 guys. Right?
He hit Lourdes. He hit Jock. He threw a couple pitches way in on Josh Bell. He threw a pitch way in on Blaze Alexander as well. His command was about as poor as you'll see from a major league pitcher. So that was not great, Derek. It was to the point where it wasn't just that Pint was bad in the game, which he was. It was that Pint was like dangerous. I mean, the hit by pitch Jock was sort of whatever. It hit him kind of in the thigh. He was totally fine. Lourdes was a little
bit in the meaty part. That was fine. But Lourdes's was so close to his head as far as how high it was up on his shoulder, man.
Yeah, and that was the fastball too at 96. And that's the other thing with Pine is, the command is shaky, and he's coupling that with a fastball that can touch the upper 90s. So somewhat dangerous stuff there. And we just spoke with Gino a few minutes ago, and talking about his grand slam, he actually referenced the fact that there were a couple of hit by pitches earlier in the inning, and wanting to sort of pick his guys up in that situation.
Well, of course, Jordan Montgomery, kind of lost in all of this, had one of his best outings of the season here. And yes, it's prefaced by saying it's against the Rockies, but his curveball was really working well today. And we talked about it a bit earlier, but he threw a real nice mix of pitches.
Yeah, he really did. Jordan Montgomery, I think you have to have the caveat, right, that this was the Colorado Rockies, and the Rockies are maybe going to swing and miss a little bit more than your average team.
For sure.
But there was a lot of swing and miss for Montgomery in this game, a season high 8 strikeouts for him. It really did pass the eye test in a way that we haven't really seen from Montgomery this season. Obviously, he slipped a little bit toward the end, but when he was good in this game, especially over those first few innings, he was very good. It was just swing and miss after swing and miss, and Rockies hitters chasing pitches out of the zone, and both the changeup and the curveball where we're getting swing and miss in addition to both of his fastballs. So this was about as good as we've seen Montgomery. Again, it did slip a little bit lately, or toward the end of his outing. He winds up giving up 3 runs, and winds up with 3 walks and 5 hits allowed. The final line there wasn't quite as pristine, but this felt like another step forward for him for sure.
The people who are accusing me of taking edibles are asking for an update on Alec that we provided earlier. Besides what Tori said, Jesse, did you have any more information on Alec Thomas and him being sent down to Reno?
Yeah, nothing more from post game. Yeah, I'm sure you guys already touched on it. The reality is that Jake McCarthy was just playing out of his mind, and D-backs have quite a bit of outfield depth, right? They've sort of been carrying that extra outfielder for a while at this point, with Randall Grichuk also in the fold, and in addition to Gurriel and Corbin Carroll and Jake McCarthy. So just a bit of a traffic jam, and it got to the point where once Jake McCarthy is playing against all of the righties and all of the lefties, which the D-backs sort of have to do at this point, it's just hard to really find consistent time for Alec Thomas unless you're, the only way to do it really is to just basically never play Lourdes Gurriel against a righty. And I don't think the D-backs really wanted to go that route. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how long this lasts. I suspect we will see Alec Thomas back in the big leagues at some point, maybe not too far from now. But yeah, the team wants him to go down and make some adjustments. Tori talked about his approach maybe being a little bit too pull heavy, how the Diamondbacks like to emphasize hitting the ball hard up the middle, as opposed to hitting fly balls in the air to the pull side, which is something that other organizations do really emphasize. The D-backs are not one of them. And I think their sense of Alec Thomas is that he's maybe gotten a little bit too, he swung a little bit too far in that direction, trying to pull the ball in the air. Obviously, the ground balls have been an issue for him for a while. We've seen a lot of pull side grounders lately. So yeah, they're looking for him to go down to Reno and change his approach and get into a little bit of a rhythm playing every day. And hopefully he's back up here before too long.
That has to be the biggest key, right? Like with the way this team is playing and how things are coming down to the end of the season, he's not going to get a lot of playing time. So in order for him to kind of get out of this and improve on at least the hitting side of things, he needs playing time, and that's what he'll get in Reno. And not to mention the fact that we know how the ball flies there, and it's just going to be hopefully a big boost to his confidence to be, playing in the PCL and such, because Alec, as we discussed earlier, is a very special player, and I still think he has a lot to offer this Diamondbacks team. Jake, who is now a god in baseball, once struggled himself and went through the same, kind of a path, right, where he had to be sent down to Reno to get playing time. And then we saw Jake slashing like 350, 500, 900, it was crazy. But again, we were like, is Jake just kind of like a 4A player because he puts up these crazy numbers in Reno, but it doesn't really translate over to a major league level? Now it is translating over to a major league level, and he's hitting like that now in the bigs, and it's impressive.
I touched on this earlier about Gino with the grand slam, how he felt that it was sort of kind of a statement that he wanted to make
Yeah.
after a couple of his teammates had been hit by pitches. We do have that video now. So here is Gino talking about his grand slam and specifically it coming after a couple of his teammates were hit by pitches.
Worry going up there because obviously he was struggling to find.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I don't blame him. You know, he can control that fastball. That's why, like I say, I just want to send that message. You know, we're here to protect ourselves, and it's the best way hit a homer against and make they pay off. You know, that's great. That's great for us. Like great for me, and we just got to keep going and keep playing like that, and have a good at bats, a good series, keep going and play hard, play for wins.
I mean, he's been outstanding for this team, but yet another hero again for this team. Like, I feel like maybe the fact that nobody is feeling that pressure to be that hero is why we're continuing to see a different guy kind of pop up every single night for this team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Gino he doesn't have to have the weight of the world on his shoulders in this lineup, right? I mean, he's generally hitting 6th or 7th. He's not, he doesn't have to be a middle of the order producer for this team. And what we've seen over the last 5-6 weeks really has been a middle of the order producer. I mean, his numbers are of that caliber. Feels like almost every Diamondbacks hitter is putting up numbers of that caliber here,
for sure.
at least since the beginning of July. But yeah, we've heard time and time again. It was reiterated today about how Gino, even in those early days where he was really struggling, he was always the same guy. And yeah, he talked today about how that's something that he feels was instilled in him at a very young age, how he wants to be the exact same person and always, be cheerful and still enjoying the game of baseball, even on the days where he isn't at his best. And we've certainly seen that.
We absolutely have. And I mean, it's probably one of those things that rubs some people, some fans, the wrong way, because when you see a guy, in a slump, you kind of want him moping around and looking sad. And like Gino's never like that. He's always walking around, very full of joy, very nice, just a nice guy who's very kind to everybody, loves to come over and turn, my camera off when I'm in the middle of filming something, things like that. He's a prankster. And again, I mean, that's always great when things are going well for you and you're doing well, but when they're not, then, it's harder to keep that mind frame. And especially in baseball, it's so important, right? Like this team right now, again, like I said earlier, is finding a way to win every single day. And I know that Torey Lovullo has probably like kind of had his mind blown considering that he's managing the same team that's doing this now than it was earlier. But today was another one of those days where they just got a complete effort. You had the bullpen not giving up any earned runs in this series at all to the Rockies. And again, Montgomery was good, and the offense went out there and got things started just right away in the first inning.
Yeah, they really didn't waste any time today, right? I mean, it was the first 4 batters, I think, that all reached base, and you look up and it's 3-0 pretty much instantly. And Jordan Montgomery was also, he talked after the game about how it gives him confidence. He said that it feels like we're scoring 10 runs a night, and that really almost literally has been the case for the Diamondbacks. I know that hasn't happened the last couple of days, but they've had a lot of games like this over the past few weeks where they're getting out to really, really big, comfortable leads. And as a starting pitcher, you can certainly understand how that would allow you to settle in. So yeah, just another well-played game all the way around. Montgomery, it was also interesting. I don't have video of this, but Montgomery was asked another question about his comments the other day regarding the environment here at Chase Field. And he said, he basically said that he feels like he was just a little bit frustrated that day, and he kind of wanted to clear the air and say, that wasn't really an excuse. And yeah, he didn't have any issues with anything here today. So you can understand in a moment where, you know, maybe things didn't go the way that you wanted to. Obviously, Montgomery's last outing did not end particularly great against the Phillies. It started pretty well, but it didn't end all that well. And so, yeah, I think that was just sort of a thing for him in the moment. He wasn't too concerned about that after this one.
You know what's funny about that is, like, sometimes for a pitcher, it's almost worth just walking the statement back than trying to explain exactly what you mean, you know, and being like,
Yeah.
well, like when it's like that humid in here, my palm gets sweaty. I have a hard time holding onto the ball. I got to go to resin more. Then that makes it into kind of like a weird pace thing, you know, whatever the case may be. But like, you know, there's probably an actual reason behind it that does make a little sense. It also does kind of sound like an excuse. And sometimes in retrospect, you realize that that's what it was, and that's not what you intended to put out there, you know, especially like kind of puts the blame on the, like, even though he wasn't intending and probably knows very little about it, it's almost like he just put the blame on this whole like stadium, you know, lease situation that's going on between the Diamondbacks and Maricopa County. And it's like, yeah, no, don't bring that up. That's like, that's a bad topic for us to discuss. But I'll tell you, a good topic to discuss is winning. And we had Torey Lovullo talking about this team winning. Here's what Torey Lovullo had to say after the game.
Walk into a day game after a night game, you're always curious about how your team's going to react to the quick turnaround. But by the second batter of the game, and the play that Perdomo made told me the story that I wanted to hear. Our team was ready. They were prepared. Jordan was pounding the zone. And the play by Perdomo really defined what we were ready to do today. We came in offensively, had a couple quality at-bats, took advantage of a misplay on their part, punched across 3 runs, and I think that really set the tone for the day. Jordan got off to a really good start. I thought he was aggressive with his fastball, hitting his spots with it. He had a good swing and miss breaking ball. I noticed there were a ton of balls at the bottom of the zone. Strike the ball, curve ball, excuse me, that yielded in some weak contact or swing and miss. And he gave us a quality start. And that's kind of what the aim was for him today, to go out and get a little bit stretched out. We were a tiny bit thinned out in the bullpen. Everybody was available. I know I told you that Nelly was available in case of something going wrong early or maybe going into extra innings. So with everybody semi-gassed up, he gave us exactly what we needed, and we were able to finish the game with the guys that I had targeted to finish the game. Offensively, it was Gino's day. It was 5 RBIs, really slugging the baseball, hit the big grand slam, and had that type of special day that you like before an off day, because you roll over in bed and think about it all night. You think about it 25 times tomorrow on the off day, and you just keep rolling right on through. So he's been a great hitter for us over the past month and a half. He's really impacted this team's ability to score runs, and he should be proud of himself. He's been working really, really hard to have those types of moments. But this is a good game. This is a good series closeout. I want these guys to get on the plane. We're going east, enjoy an off day, and be ready to go in Tampa.
Love that. And we do have an off day tomorrow, so no baseball tomorrow, but make sure to join us here at 1 p.m. We'll have some more about all of this luck, I guess you could say, going the Diamondbacks' way, but also that this team is a goddamn wagon. Jesse, something you said there in the middle about Ryan Nelson. Ryan Nelson was available today to come out of the bullpen if something went catastrophically wrong, or if the Diamondbacks go into extra innings. Are we seeing the beginning of Ryan Nelson setting up there in the bullpen?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. We did see Nelson throwing a bullpen. I think he started around the 9th inning of this game. It was pretty clear at that point that he was not going to be used. So, you want to just get him some work on his throw day. No surprises there. So he's going to start on Friday. And then we'll see how this plays out, Derek. We did not ask any questions after this game about, is Montgomery going to make his next start? I think the obvious answer there is that the Diamondbacks haven't decided, or that if they have decided, they're not going to say anything to the media at this point. They're at least going to wait until after Ryan Nelson makes his start on Friday.
Yeah.
So we don't have any clarity on that at this point. it still feels to me, based on the fact that Jordan Montgomery went out and, didn't necessarily pitch his very best game, but looked pretty good in this one.
Yeah.
I mean, 8 strikeouts is
That's
pretty
very
big.
encouraging.
He had 22 whiffs in this game as well, which is far and away his high for the season. So yeah, putting all that together, it's really hard for me to imagine the D-backs are moving him from the rotation when he has shown some positive signs lately. So it still feels to me like Ryan Nelson going to the bullpen is going to be the outcome here. We know that the Diamondbacks are not going to stay with a 6-man rotation beyond just this one time through. So yeah, we'll hopefully get some more clarity on that officially, over the weekend and into next week. But as of right now, that's sort of my feel of the situation.
Well, you weren't here, but we kicked Jacob Franklin out of here, so he's gone. I did give him as a parting gift the Twitter account of Jacob_Franklin1. So he's been upgraded to that. Yeah, I mean, he deserves it after putting up with Saul for as long as he did, right? But of course,
I was thinking two. Tops. I don't know if he's quite the first. Is he the best Jacob Franklin? I don't know.
I'll hold on to it. Maybe I'll wait to give it to him until he really proves he deserves it. But he's a known liar, and we know that. But we know the numbers don't lie. So what do you have for tonight's number that doesn't lie, Jesse Friedman?
Yeah, well, I guess I spoiled it about 20 seconds ago. The number is 22. And
I spoiled 22. It earlier, too. It's fine.
Oh, is it 13?
No, it is not. It is not 13. It was 22 is what it was.
Okay, I think it's 22. And 22 is simply the number of whiffs that there it is. 22 is the number of whiffs that Jordan Montgomery generated in this game. His previous high this season was 18. And I believe he had another game that was 17. And other than that, his highest was 12. He had 18 whiffs on June 16th. He had 17 on May 13th. And I guess I should say the 18 came against the Chicago White Sox. So, context there may be important, as it is today with, the 22 whiffs coming against the Colorado Rockies. That's probably not completely a coincidence.
With that portion of the information. It's fine to leave that part out.
The other thing I just want to say quickly about Montgomery, you guys might have touched on this already, is that his velo did tick up a little bit in this game. He averaged 92.6 on his sinker, which was the highest that he has averaged this season. He averaged 92.9 on his four-seamer. Last year, those numbers were higher, but not all that much. Last year, his sinker averaged 93.3 and the four-seamer averaged 93.4. So you're talking about being, less than a tick below where he was a season ago. Up to this point in the year, we've seen, like 91.6, 91.7, something like that on average. So there was a noticeable uptick today, pretty much a full mile per hour, a little bit north of that with the four-seamer. So that was a good sign. Is it sustainable? Are we going to see that again in his next outing? I think we have to kind of wait and see, but a good sign for sure.
8 whiffs on the curve, 5 on the sinker, 5 on the fastball, 4 on the changeup. Again, just a real nice mix today. I think that was a big part of it. And again, his curveball was working. His curveball was working for him today. And that was his primary pitch, and it was for good reason, right? But I still hold out hope for Jordan Montgomery, and I still think that this guy has gone through a lot this season. Trying to just remember the human aspect of it, that there's been a lot of ups and downs for Jordan Montgomery this year. Things definitely didn't go the way he wanted them to. And, early on, they didn't go the way that the fans or the Diamondbacks organization wanted, them to go either. But I think before the end of the season, Montgomery will prove to be an asset for this team. And we'll see what happens beyond that. But I still think that ultimately his numbers will never probably equate to what the Diamondbacks paid him. But if the Diamondbacks can do the thing this year and Jordan Montgomery can be a part of it, I don't think anybody's going to give a damn about how much he was paid and how the rest of the regular season went. This team right now seems fairly unstoppable. It seems like they can play with anybody in baseball, and they just continue to find a way to win.
Yeah, with Montgomery, the big question for me is come playoff time, if the Diamondbacks make it there, does he start a game for them?
Right.
As of right now, it feels like the pretty clear answer is no. Right. I mean, you have Zach Gallen, you have Merrill Kelly, you have Brandon Pfaadt. I think those 3 guys would be locks. Eduardo Rodriguez, now that he's in the fold, I think he would be a strong candidate for a game 4, or maybe they would go Fott game 4, and maybe Eduardo Rodriguez would be their game 3 guy. I don't know.
I feel like that could definitely be where the, I guess, competition is, right? Like that's kind of who he's competing with at this point, is to kind of outplay Eduardo Rodriguez. And, you know, again, like Paul Sewald kind of playing for, you know, his ability to get back not only to that closer role, but for his contract and his future. It very much feels like, you know, those two guys competing for the idea of who's the actual, you know, fourth man in the rotation isn't the worst thing in the world, because it could bring the best out of both of them. So, you know, again, it remains to be seen, because there's still a lot of baseball to play. If the Diamondbacks continue to play like this, though, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. That's for sure. We do thank you guys, of course. We've already thanked Jacob enough. I'm not going to thank him anymore. He's out of here. Screw him. But we thank you guys very much for being here. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Cap_Caveman with a K. Jesse, of course, is at Jesse N. Friedman. The man on the 1s and 2s tonight is Kyle. He is at K Coop Sports, right? That's it, because, you know, we already know he's better than the rest of us, so it's fine. But he's got K Coop Sports. It's going to be like a whole thing. But of course, our show is at PHNX_D-backs, but all roads lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I forgot we are Kyle's kids now. Sorry, Faj. You're no longer our Father Overlord Jacob. We're Kyle's kids. Of course, we thank you guys so much for stopping by. We will be back, like I said earlier, with a 1 p.m. show tomorrow. No baseball, but hopefully we can help fill that void for you. So make sure to bring it back here tomorrow. And of course, we want you guys to have a wonderful night. The Diamondbacks did too. That's why they swept the Rockies. But hope you have a wonderful night. Hope you behave yourselves. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when you're playing like the Diamondbacks are right now.
We all silly like the mayor.